And this is what his teacher said, Mrs. Hawthorne. Why, oh why, are men so insecure? The darlings have been fretting for some years now, that they may be rendered unnecessary if women get financial and biological independence. Learning how to reproduce and refinance without them. What if nature played a cruel trick and demoted men, so that they had to be judged merely by their appearance, pliability, and talent for gazing raptly at the opposite sex, no matter how bored? New research on the Y chromosome shows that my jittery male friends are not paranoid. They are in an evolutionary shame spiral. As Nicholas Wade wrote in the Times, although most men are unaware of the peril, the Y chromosome has been shedding genes furiously over the course of evolutionary time, and it is now a fraction of the size of its partner, the X chromosome. The decay of the Y stems from the fact that it is forbidden to enjoy the principal advantage of sex, which is, of course, for each member of a pair of chromosomes to swap matching pieces of DNA with its partner. Mr. Wade said that biologists, can't even say that word, in Cambridge, Massachusetts, have made a remarkable discovery. Denied the benefits of recombining with the X, the Y recombines with itself. The ultimate guy's night out, simply put, the Y chromosome figured out a Herculean way to save itself from extinction by making an incredibly difficult hairpin turn and swapping molecular material with itself. Self-love as a survival mechanism, the unflinching narcissism of men, may send women into despair at times, but it has saved their sex for the next 5 million or 10 million years. But according to Olivia Judson, science's answer to the central British cook Nigella Lawson, men may need more than narcissism to survive. Men just love each other too much. I mean, seriously, women buy, what is it that, oh yeah, we buy makeup and dresses and purses to make ourselves look better, but men just, they don't do that, but they just love themselves too much, you know? Dr. Judson, a 33-year-old evolutionary biologist at Imperial College in London, who has written a book about animals in Dear Abby style, or Dear Abby under the pen name Dr. Tatiana, says the worm has turned. For a long time it is assumed that promiscuity was good for males and bad for females, in terms of a number of kids they could have, she explains. But it wasn't until 1988 that it really started to become evident that females were benefiting from having sex with lots of males, with more promiscuous females having more and healthier offspring. In her book, Dr. Judson writes about powerful babes. By the way, I just want to pause for a second and say that I do condone fornication. It gives people AIDS, but sometimes, you know, sexually transmitted disease. It's sort of bad for you, you know? You should probably get married and have sex with your one true love. I mean, oh, I don't believe that. I mean, who believes that? Who believes that you should only have sex with the person you love? You should have sex all the time with anybody you meet. It doesn't matter how you feel about them, just, you know, sex them up. You get an STD or an HIV, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Go have fun. Go be promiscuous. Anyway, in her book, Dr. Judson writes about powerful babes, noting that females in more than 80 species, like praying mantises, have been caught devouring their lovers before, during, or after mating. I'm particularly fond, she told me, of the great spoonworm. The male is 200,000 times smaller, effectively a little parasite who lives in her reproductive tract, fertilizing her eggs and regurgitating sperm through his mouth. That's a funny image in my head. Men regurgitating their own sperm. And then there's the tiny female midge, who plunges her proboscis into the male's midge's head during procreation. As Dr. Judson told the journalist Ken Ringle, her spittle turns his innards to soup, which she slurps up, drinking until she sucked him dry. Feminism is awesome. The Economist recently reported in a variation of creepy crawly girl eats boy love stories. The male orb-weaving spider kills himself before the female has a chance to. Biologists now believe that the male orb weaver dies when he turns himself into a plug to prevent other males from copulating, thus ensuring his genes are more likely to live on. In a new book called Why the Descent of Man, Steve Jones, a professor of genetics at University College in London, says males, always a genetic parasite, yes, all you males in my class, you are genetic parasites, have devolved to become the second sex. I am better than you because I am female. Isn't that awesome? The news that Dolly the sheep had been cloned without masculine aid sent a friction through the Y populace, he writes, because men began to fear that science would cause nature to return to its original feminine state and men would fade from view. The Y chromosome, a mere remnant of its once mighty structure, is worried about size. Men are wilting away, Dr. Jones writes, from sperm count to social status and from fertilization to death as civilization advances. Those who bear Y chromosomes are in a relative decline. Perhaps that's why men are adapting, becoming more passive and turning into metrosexuals. Basically, more and more, I don't know how to put this, but unimportant. Without soul, without spirit, without their own thought processes. Because women are telling them they're useless and they're not needed. The new term for straight men who are feminized is metrosexual. They have taste for facials, grooming products, and home design. It's all better, you know? Better society as a whole if you have a taste for facials, grooming products, and home design. Us women do, so you should too. After all, it's better to be an X chromosome than an X chromosome. And Timmy sat there, listening to what sounded like the end of males. And he couldn't believe that he was doomed by women in society and by other people in society simply because he was male. How would you feel if you were told that you were born into the useless gender? After all, that's what women think.